Tonight, stuck in the middle on guns.
Right now, if I could ban the AR-15, I'd do it.
No escape in Syria. And Italy's anti-immigration politics. Some 2,000 people attended the private funeral for the Reverend Billy Graham in Charlotte today, including President Trump and Vice President Mike Pence. The evangelical leader died last week at the age of 99.
The Billy Graham that the world saw in the big stadiums was the same Billy Graham that we saw at home. There weren't two Billy Grahams.
The service took place in a 28,000 square foot tent, reminiscent of the space where Graham preached during the 1949 Los Angeles Crusade that made him hugely popular. President Trump is defending his decision to put heavy taxes on steel and aluminum imports, despite threats from major trading partners. The European Union, Mexico, and Canada have all said they'll retaliate with their own tariffs. But Trump maintains that trade wars are good and that they're easy to win. But his fellow Republicans don't seem to be fans of Trump's move in the first place. Yesterday, Senators Orrin Hatch and Mike Lee and House Speaker Paul Ryan cautioned against the tariffs. Olympic gold medalist Ali Raisman is suing the U.S. Olympic Committee and USA Gymnastics, alleging they failed to protect her from years of sexual abuse by former team doctor Larry Nassar. Nassar was convicted of multiple counts of criminal sexual conduct and child pornography and will spend the rest of his life in prison. More than 260 girls and women have accused him of abuse. The lawsuit says the organizations knew or should have known that Nassar was sexually abusive but didn't take action. USA Gymnastics told Vice News it wouldn't comment specifically on the suit, but said the organization reported Nassar to the FBI and dismissed him when they became aware of concerns about him. USOC hasn't yet responded to our request for comment. Israeli police questioned Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at his home today in connection with another corruption case. Police have already recommended Netanyahu be indicted in 2 other cases, a decision that's ultimately up to the country's attorney general. This time, authorities questioned him about allegations that he received positive press coverage from a popular news site in return for regulatory and financial breaks reportedly worth millions of dollars. The news outlet denies any wrongdoing, and Netanyahu denies he's done anything wrong in all cases.
Ohio Governor John Kasich has established a reputation as a Republican problem solver.
Okay, so, Beth, what do we have?
It's a trait that's on display at meeting after meeting.
We can begin to, I think, make a difference.
Kasich ran for president in 2016 as the Trump alternative, a moderate Republican with crossover appeal and a track record of competence. And he's still trying to maintain that reputation, which is one reason so many people talk about him as a possible primary challenger to Trump in 2020. Do you feel like you could be president someday still?
Well, there's no opening, so that's kind of hard. Do I think...
If there was an opening.
Yeah, I don't know what can happen in the future.
Now, Kasich's trying to solve the problem of guns, which would help him distinguish himself in 2020, since there's little action in Washington on the issue.
And do I think they can do anything on guns? I hope they...
After the Parkland shooting, Kasich targeted Trump on guns.
We should look at bump stocks that make weapons fully automatic.
But the reforms offered this week, they were limited.
So we had people who felt very strongly about a number of restrictions.
They basically just bring Ohio law in step with federal law, with 2 additions: closing holes in the background check system and creating a new kind of protective order to take guns away from potentially violent people. Is that really the best you can do here? Because we've seen in other states, like for instance, Florida, Governor Rick Scott got behind a ban on bump stocks. Mm-hmm. Why can he do it there and you can't do it here?
Well, I don't know if he's going to get it done. I mean, I want to get this done. So what we
Why not make the move?
Because I can't get the kind of total and complete support by doing it that way, as opposed to letting Donald Trump write his ban on bump stocks, and then we'll comply. As much as I push for things, I I'm not a miracle man. I'm just a guy trying to do the best I can to maneuver in a difficult environment. I've told you that I'd like to get something through this legislature. Does that mean that I can't get everything I want? Yeah, the answer is yes. You know, I just can't.
Why is that? Why are guns the sacred cow in the GOP?
It's not just GOP, it's the Democrats too. It's both parties. This is something where people tend to focus on the NRA. And the NRA has power. But see, their power is not in Washington. Their power is with people in the communities who feel very strongly about this issue. What happens here is there are people who believe that this right should not be violated in any way. And they will go to legislators and they will do everything they can to stop it or to defeat them.
I keep coming back to this policy on guns because during your time as governor, you've signed every gun bill that has come across your desk.
Yes, maybe some aren't, you know, for example, like Stand Your Ground now. I've told them, don't send that to me.
But you've sort of changed over the past month. In
no,
the
I haven't changed. I voted for the assault weapons ban in 1994. That was the single biggest.
And then you backed away from it during the 2016 election.
You know why? Because I said just passing a law that pass a law that is not effective doesn't work. Like right now, if I could ban the AR-15, I'd do it. I think it's really been pretty terrific that Dick's and Walmart have said we're not selling these guns and we're not selling to young people and we're not selling some of these guns. I agree with them. I think it's terrific they're doing that. But we're not going to get that done here now. Could we get something like that done later? Yeah. I think that there is interest in the 18 to 21 with certain exemptions.
Are you John Kasich, the pro-gun rights Republican, or John Kasich, gun restrictions Republican?
I'm John Kasich, the governor of Ohio.
Well, it's tough to be on both sides of that issue in a GOP primary.
I don't think so. Not if you use common sense.
Think past my own.
In 2016, Vice News met Chris Goldsmith, an Army veteran who was fighting what vets call a bad paper discharge. After a tour in Iraq, Goldsmith was given an other-than-honorable dismissal from the military after he tried to kill himself and was accused of not showing up for duty. As a result, he's been ineligible for many benefits that veterans are supposed to have.
I was stripped of my identity and thrown into the street. And it felt like nobody cared whether I lived or died.
Now, a group of veterans is looking to the courts for a solution. On Friday, they filed a class action lawsuit against the Navy. The lead plaintiff in today's lawsuit is Tyson Menker, a Marine veteran who also fought in the Iraq War before he was given an other-than-honorable discharge in late 2003 for smoking marijuana. Menker says he smoked to treat the symptoms of post-traumatic stress. In 2016, he appealed his discharge, and he was denied. Now he's accusing the Navy of failing to live up to the standards set out by the Department of Defense and Congress. Standards that require military discharge review boards to take PTSD into account when reviewing bad paper discharges.
The discharge review boards have been denying the evidence submitted by veterans for decades, since they were created. You look at the rates of overturning. Marines are 10 times more likely to be kicked out of the military and have less than a 5% chance of having their discharge upgraded to honorable. That makes no sense.
At the heart of this case is a memo that then Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel wrote in 2014, ordering review boards to give liberal consideration to the possible impact of PTSD as a mitigating factor in any unfavorable discharge. Congress later wrote this instruction into law. But Tyson and his lawyers argue that the numbers show the Navy has been systematically ignoring the Hagel memo. According to Pentagon data acquired by the legal team, while the Army has upgraded 45% of PTSD-related appeals since January 2016, the Navy has done far worse. They've only upgraded 15%. For people like Tyson, that's meant he's been shut out from the benefits he would normally have gotten.
When I received my less than honorable discharge, I had my $50,000 Marine Corps Infantry sign-on bonus taken away. I had my GI Bill, Montgomery GI Bill that I'd paid into, taken away. I had all of my service-connected pension and compensation for service-connected injuries taken away.
The Pentagon acknowledges it still has a lot of work to do. They declined to comment on the lawsuit. But they also say that not all cases of bad paper discharge merit an upgrade.
Smoking marijuana in 2003 was against the law. But before I smoked the marijuana, I went to Iraq. And the things that we did in Iraq didn't exactly jive with the rules that I had learned my first 21 years of existence, starting with thou shalt not murder. We killed a lot of people over there. So when you go to combat and you come home, I can only tell you that your reality, your new sense of normal, is much different. What kind of an archaic system do we have where someone serves their country, they may have messed up, minor misconduct, but then to say that they don't have honor, I think that's completely asinine.
On Monday, Russia called for a humanitarian ceasefire in eastern Ghouta, Syria, that was supposed to start the very next day and give people a daily 5-hour window to escape. But that hasn't happened at all. Instead, airstrikes and shelling have continued to kill civilians in the Damascus suburb. More than 100 people have died since last weekend, and desperately needed medical supplies have no way of getting in.
شيء اسمه النظام اشترنا الغارة هاي الدموية على الغوطة وكل يوم صواريخ وطيارات وبراميل. قبل أذان المغرب نص ساعة حتى لأمنا لنا شوية ملفوف، ولما بدنا يستوي اجت الضرب علينا. يعني الحمد لله حتى استشهدوا جوعانين.
أحد الأمثلة كانت عنا هي عائلة الأخ أبو عمر اللي تعرضت لغارة جوية يوم الجمعة 23 شباط. كانت 5 أطفال صارت 2 بلمح البصر.
الكبيرة راما صف 5 بالمدرسة، واللي أصغر خليل بالصف الأول كمان عمره 7 سنين. استشهد الله يتقبله. وزكريا الصغير عم يرضع.
أنا طلعوني آخر شيء من تحت الأنقاض. يعني ما كنت أعرف أن شيء. بعد 3 أيام خبروني المستشهدين 3.
على بطنك. أنت ما بتقدر تنام على ظهرك؟ الوضع الطبي بالغوطة الشرقية اليوم يعاني من نقص حاد بكل ما تحمل الكلمة من معنى. يعني أنت تخيل بأي مشفى من المشافي الضخمة العالمية يفوت بلحظة واحدة 100 جريح متنوعين من الإصابات العظمية والأوعية والدماغية وعندهم كل الإمكانيات من الكوادر، من الأدوية، من المستهلكات، من المحروقات، من الأجهزة، من كل عندهم. هن لا يستطيعوا أن يستوعبوا هذه المجزرة. فكيف الغوطة الشرقية التي ليس لديها أي شيء من هذه المقومات هي لا تستطيع أن تستوعب؟
أتمنى من العالم بس هيك، من العالم الإسلامي بس هيك يحطوا حد للكافر للطاغية بشار الأسد، لأنه هاي أرواح مسلمين، أرواح بشر هاي. الله ينتقم منه هو وكل من بيعاونه يا رب.
Italy goes to the polls on Sunday in the latest European election to pit far-right forces against a center-left in deep trouble. The country's been caught up in the migration crisis, and it's been battling high unemployment. That's paved the way for a familiar figure to make a comeback of sorts: Silvio Berlusconi. The disgraced former prime minister is barred from running himself because of tax convictions, but his name still carries weight, and his Forza Italia party has formed an alliance with a new rising star.
The League used to be a fringe separatist party in Italian politics. Now, with immigration at the heart of its campaign, it's on course to be part of the next government.
Sono entrato a Treviso in macchina, ho trovato il primo trevigiano dopo un quarto d'ora.
Its new leader, Matteo Salvini, has pledged to deport 400,000 foreigners.
Why have you made immigration the centre of your campaign?
Perché 700.000 sbarchi nell'arco di soli 4 anni portano lo scontro sociale. Chiediamo regole, rispetto, controllo dei confini, diamo accoglienza a chi la merita, ma ai delinquenti proponiamo di tornare a casa.
But personally, really personally, why does it bother you so much, immigration?
I numeri dei reati dicono che ogni anno in Italia ci sono 250.000 reati commessi da cittadini stranieri, che sono 700 reati al giorno, e il 40% dei detenuti in Italia sono stranieri. Se riduciamo il problema, viviamo tutti più tranquilli.
Salvini's intention is clear: stoke fear, get votes.
E al governo noi cercheremo di fare una cosa semplice: restituire il diritto di difendere noi stessi, la nostra vita e la vita dei nostri figli in casa nostra e nei nostri negozi.
It's a message that strikes a chord with 72-year-old Danilo Merlo.
E quindi uno non sa mai in che paese fai fatica a renderti conto che sei in città, in Italia. Sembra quasi di essere all'estero.
Is Italy racist?
L'italiano non è razzista. Io non sono razzista. Sono più libero di muovermi a casa mia. Perché? Perché non sono più sicuro, è una cosa impossibile da poter tollerare.
Public perception that the government hasn't done enough on immigration is making this election particularly difficult for the Democratic Party. Its leader, Matteo Renzi, was seen as Italy's great reformer when he became the country's youngest ever premier in 2014.
Noi ci siamo messi su, tirati sulle maniche e abbiamo iniziato a lavorare.
Now, Berlusconi's Forza Italia is threatening to undo that work.
L'area moderata, Forza Italia, sta guidando la Lega, non sta guidando Berlusconi. È cambiato rispetto a anni fa.
Renzi is fighting for political survival. In just the past 2 years, he's pushed for a constitutional referendum that ended in failure, resigned as Prime Minister, and presided over a split in his party.
Why are you so unpopular in the polls?
The problem is why. If you think about American election,
it's immigration.
No, but I think this is not the point.
To the economy.
The point will be clear in the next days. In every corner of the world, in the last period, survey polls gave some surprises.
While he's trailing in the polls, Renzi's strategy for securing his party's future is to focus on placing loyal disciples in safe seats. Luciano Nobili is one of these candidates, standing for election for the first time in a Rome suburb.
How much do you think your campaign is being hampered by having Renzi leading it?
Tutti in tutta Europa i governi pagano il governo, però di fronte alla sinistra in Europa che è sempre più in difficoltà, io sono convinto che noi possiamo essere la sorpresa delle prossime elezioni.
What do people in Italy care about the most in this election?
Ma diciamo che secondo me le priorità degli italiani e sulle quali gli italiani voteranno sono diverse dalle priorità che sono oggi sui giornali, nel senso che si parla molto di temi come la sicurezza, l'immigrazione, ma io credo che le priorità siano molto diverse. Le priorità degli italiani riguardano soprattutto il lavoro.
But Luciano and other centre-left politicians are struggling to convince voters that they can be trusted to improve the economy. While the Democratic Party was in power, Italy continued to suffer from sluggish economic growth and high unemployment. Even the most sympathetic voters have lost faith.
È dura, però ci stia vicina. Ci stia vicina anche se è dura.
Non lo so, devo ancora decidere.
Perché se oggi va oltre
la situazione avvilente è stato che siamo andati da un'altra parte in maniera sbagliata totalmente noi italiani, perché
vabbè. Comunque ci pensi bene perché
senta Nobili,
faccia dia un voto responsabile.
Allora siamo tornati a lei. Siamo tornati alle lei però.
Non so.
Berlusconi is poised to be kingmaker in the case of a centre-right coalition. With 30% of voters still undecided, Salvini is confident in his prospects and his alliance with Berlusconi.
Well, you're not worried that Berlusconi's scandals might infect your own party?
No, io penso che vincerà il centrodestra e so che all'interno del centrodestra la Lega prenderà un voto in più, quindi la prossima intervista la facciamo in veste di Presidente del Consiglio.
Hey, I'm Harry.
Hello, I am Orno.
Hello, I'm Sol, and we're 3/8 of Superorganism.
Everybody Wants to Be Famous is about society's need for validation.
It's pop music, bro.
Feeling like a boss and staring at the stars. It doesn't matter the cost, 'cause everybody wants to be famous.
I didn't really feel comfortable singing at that point. I just never thought of myself as a singer.
There's so much like extremely intense singers and vocal performances and really heavily auto-tuned and stuff that when you get that sound of someone who doesn't even consider themselves a singer that just has a really great natural voice, it really cuts through.
The recording process for me, I was in my dorm room. My roommate didn't know what I was doing. For most of the record, I had to record while she was sleeping or when she was in the bathroom taking a dump.
My favorite sort of part of the song that drives it is the bass line.
So we ran it through a distortion, and that pedal, if you turn all the knobs right up, it's like the quintessential sound of Swedish black metal.
It's kind of like how Darth Vader comes in. You know, you hear that like dum 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 dum.
I think that we're all the kind of people where we don't really see a distinction between the sounds that an instrument can make and the sounds that you can just hear in either nature or society. A lot of the philosophy of that comes from the influence of Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo. So he did the Rugrats theme tune. I think that's just been really inspirational for us in terms of how we view the use of samples and sounds in music. Well, the kind of squelchy sound that runs through the verse of the song is weirdly like a combination of a guitar and a synthesizer. It reminds me of SpongeBob or something. It's got this kind of like, it's got this kind of watery, oceany kind of vibe to it.
It's like, space, space.
So. We should sample that.
I'm a big fan of Dr. Dre, and I really love the kind of G-funk sounds.
Damn, that sounds cute as heck.
I think that this is what makes a catchy song, is simplicity, you know? 3 chords. That Lou Reed has said that that's pretty much all you need for a good song. But the thing that kind of gives it its distinct character and makes it Superorganism is all the coloring and the shading. You can just play with it and have fun without worrying about the world around you.
Wow. Cool.
That's Vice News Tonight for Friday, March 2nd.
And I'll tell you what, I didn't think I'd say this, but I'm going to say it.
I won't say he was an older fellow, but he was an older fellow.
I'm not going to say anybody didn't do well. They didn't do well.
I refuse to say it's Bobby Knight. But it's Bobby Knight.
Now, I won't say it was because of me, but it was, okay?
I won't tell you what he did because he actually grabbed one by the shirt, but I won't say that.
And she also sent a tweet out at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I won't even mention that.
She also said irredeemable, but we won't mention that.
We got very high ratings, by the way, but I won't mention that. The one debate I missed. It was the lowest rated debate, by the way, but I won't say that.
We have more people here than they do, but we won't say that. I always come out way above everybody else on the economy. And on leadership, by the way, but I won't say that.